Nigeria's real estate sector is a important contributor to the wider economy. We've got a new report from North Court Real Estate where we're going to be looking at the half-year 2023 report from them on the real estate sector. Joining us to discuss is Ayo Ibaru. He is the CEO of North Court Real Estate. Ayo, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, Rojas.
Last time we had you on the show, you were the head of research and director, and now CEO. So congratulations.
Thanks. The affairs are moving up in the world.
And the reward for these things is more work, right?
Drip dead everywhere.
So look, I want to get into, as always, you guys write some excellent reports. We love getting into it. Is Nigeria's real estate market on good footing in the first half of this year?
So coming into 2023, because it was an election year, we decided to adopt a wait and see approach. That was what the investors were doing and the developers were also doing, because we suspected that the elections would be fraught with controversy, and the elections came and then they went. And we did find investors again and developers coming to a conclusion as to how they were going to approach investment going forward. A few signals suggested that to continue investment was the way to go. And then we had the announcement of quite a number of policies, subsidy removal, and then of course what happened to the FX rate. And then with that, we saw an increase in the pricing of construction materials and inputs, and that further on complicated the market. So the way it is now, quite a number of investors are really cautious. Now, in-country investors, local investors are more, how do I put it now? A bit more willing to take risks because they understand the country, but even they are also a bit cautious.
Yeah. There's a quote here from your reports that I want to take a look at. You're talking about disposable income,
yes,
and how that is impacting prices in the market. So here it is. Recent studies confirm that disposable income remains a key influential factor in determining housing prices in Nigeria. Are you a small doctor fan? It's been a while since you heard that.
I tend to stay around Mozart.
Mozart?
On,
so we're going from Mozart to small
doctor.
That's
what keeps me awake.
You remember Penalty from 2016?
Yes, I do.
So we're older. Remember? So there is one particular clip of the song I actually want to play and quote that, because I want us to use small doctor. That's what we're doing now. I want us to use small doctor to explain real estate economics. So where's that? Let's play that clip. Let's play that clip. We have it.
If you don't get money, hide your face.
So
I'm not sure I've seen that.
Okay, so wait, we have the quotes. Let's put up the quotes. So in case anyone missed it, right? If you don't have money, hide your face, right? That's the part of the quote.
Did he say that?
That's what he said. Yeah, he said if you don't get money, hide your face.
Oh, wow.
I want to tie this back to your quote from your report, because if you're saying that disposable income is impacting real estate prices, I would think that disposable income is impacting purchases. So if you don't have enough money,
yes,
then that's going to impact demand. Yes. So help us out.
No, you're right. Now, take for example, you run a retail store in a mall, and the purchasing power of your average buyer is diminished. That means that your sales numbers will be significantly reduced. And what that means is the case for even renewing your rent in that place is affected. So what's the point of renewing rent in a mall when the purchasing power of my buyer is reduced? And remember that when foreign investors come into our retail real estate market, the idea is to expand and key into the large population that we have. So when purchasing power is reduced, it makes it a difficult case to prosecute expanding real estate demand for retailers. Now, we can extend this to other sub-markets, but that's one very easy way to look at it.
Okay, but aren't wealthier Nigerians pulling up prices as well?
So let me put it this way. The HNIs, as we like to call them, they have a market
just for our viewers, HNIs is
high net worth individuals, and then there's HNI, ultra high net worth. Yes. Now, they have their markets that are not entirely disturbed by what happens in our everyday demand and supply calculation. So they can buy assets. I mean, I was talking with a developer friend of mine, and He just completed over 10 units. I wouldn't give the exact number, but he sold them between 250 and 280 million naira a pop, and he's done.
Wow.
Now, the idea is people in that category aren't entirely worried about a number of things. The real question becomes what happens to those in the lower end of the market, and then, of course, in the mid-income aspect of the market. Wealthy people buy what they like and what they want and what the efforts, the rewards of their labors have given them the ability to buy. Everyone else has to deal with how the government manages the ecosystem, how stakeholders are able to make do with the various winds that blow.
Okay, great. Now, I want to look at Lagos. Again, checking out from this report, which, by the way, for our viewers, this report didn't just look at real estate. You pretty much looked globally, local yes. Matters and so on. So you've got Lagos average land prices here, and you can see that one particular line for Old Ikoyi just skyrocketing, yes. right? Then you also broke down the per square meter rise in price for Old Ikoyi, Victoria Island, yes. and Shangotedo. Yes. With Old Ikoyi, 113% rise, Victoria 89%, Shangotedo 109%. What's the takeaway from these rising per square meter prices for these areas?
Fundamentals remain so.
Yeah.
For example, when you look at infrastructure and security across Ikoyi and Victoria Island, they're arguably the best we have in Lagos. Same thing if you looked at similar nodes in Abuja and then in Port Harcourt. Now, what's happening with Shangotedo is, number one, it's one of the few areas that still have land left in Lagos that you can buy. And then by the time you combine the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway ongoing works, which really should be moving at a much faster clip, and then you combine that with what's going on in the Dangote refinery, hopefully that goes live soon. And then you remember Afrexim Bank signed a $1.35 billion facility through Access Bank with the Lagos State government to pretty much kickstart the Lagos Lekki Airport and the Fourth Mainland Bridge. By the time you combine all those drivers together, you see that it is in the interest of any discerning investor to see how to take a position in the Shangotedo area, because that's where the Lagos State government seems to be putting a lot of its interest, and that's where a lot of the economic activity is going. Now remember, once you see economic activity growing, real estate is not too far behind. That's the simplest way.
So if you're looking at where to go in, it's
look for where you have, yes, that's one of the places you can look at in Lagos. Yeah. Again, Ikorodu still has some activity, but not as fast. Now, if you look at what's going on in Port Harcourt, there's a 50.15, 195 billion naira ring road. It's going to cover 6 various local governments, and what you will find is within the next 2 to 3 quarters, as activity is ongoing on that project, land values will start to go up, and then you start to gradually see real estate activity move along the pathways where that road will get to. So that's really how it goes. You look at infrastructure investment, and then, of course, because of the unique situation that Nigeria is in, you look at where security goes and so on and so forth.
I'm glad you mentioned security, because I want to bring up prisons. Your report also looked at, and there's, I think we have a quote on there from the report where you said there's a concerning, one concerning land use practice is the placement of prisons within or near prime locations. Yeah. This is particularly evident in core cities across the country where prisons occupy prime locations. So express your concerns now.
So if you look at the concept by the Appraisal Institute back in 1915, they came up with something called the highest and best use concept. Now, it's been on in various shapes and forms for quite a number of years, but they seem to bring it together, of course, in partnership or with some support with a man called Erwin Fisher. He's an American economist. He's passed now. The idea is this. You look at I'll simplify, physical issues, financial rewards, and then you look at the legal constraints when you want to develop something. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at what to do with an asset, which is where quite a number of Nigerians, and sad to say, wealthy Nigerians make the mistake, you look at the maximal returns you can get from anything you want to do on land. Where prisons are right now, we're not getting the most return. Now, there are 2 things. Should we relocate the prisons to the outskirts? It does good for the average city because the government is forced to invest in infrastructure, and that again drags more real estate value around that correctional facility. Now, look at the Ikoyi prisons, for example. Let's just say Southwest Ikoyi, give or take 700,000, 800,000 naira per square meter. And it's in the report. You see how much value that we're losing there. And then you look at how much in terms of taxes the government can make. You look at what can happen if we get mixed uses that look at the needs of the city. And that is something that can easily be done. So what has to happen is a gradual relocation out of the city centers, because we can extract more value from the land where they are in. But more importantly, you expand the value that every state has when you move government facilities out of the core of the city.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. I got to ask you about shopping malls,
Yes.
Particularly back to Lagos, the Ikeja City Mall. Ayo, I mean, is the Ikeja City Mall the premier? I think we have some amateur footage here. Yeah, this is 360 video of an event there, wall-to-wall cars packed. There was a betting company that came to do an event there.
Yes.
Mikel Obi was there. You compare Ikeja City Mall to the Palms at Oniru, and it seems in terms of foot traffic, I mean, you would be best to place this. Between the two, is Ikeja City Mall number one now as far as premier mall?
By some standards, yes, but historically, Ikeja City Mall has always been aggressive with looking for alternative sources of revenue. They were one of the first to start charging for car parking. They were one of the first to even encourage entertainers to come and start performing in their car parks, open air, from Thursdays during the week to Friday to Saturday. And now, what that has done is they now have a track record and they've built momentum. The second thing is when you look at Ikeja as an area and you look at the Lekki seaboard, you find out that competition is stiffer here in Lekki. Now, the tastes of people in the Lekki, Ikoyi, Victoria Island area, you would need to do a lot in our Palms Mall to bring what will attract people from this side of town in volumes sufficient enough to generate the returns that will make the real estate investment worth your while. Now, in Ikeja, there are a few restaurants, there are a few entertainment sources, but really by the time you have Ikeja City Mall as central as it is, and then you get in your right entertainment frameworks, you find out that it is easy for them to generate the buzz that they're generating. Really, who wants to compete with Ikeja City Mall as it's currently located? Remember where it is and how safe the place is. And then again, it's also central. It's Ikeja. So from Isolo, from Agodo, from anywhere, you can easily get to Ikeja. So they have locational advantages. And then the framework around how entertainment is constructed in Ikeja GRA does make it one of the premier locations. The thing is, it doesn't have the competition that the Palms here has. The Palms has competition for 100 meters, 50 meters, and it's difficult to deal with.
See, that's why we bring you on the show to break these things down for us. Excellent extension. Real quick, another very interesting sector I like is hospitality, hotels. You have your report cites a projection here. As a whole, the Nigerian hotel industry is projected to increase by 6.5% between 2022 and 2025, making it one of the fastest growing hospitality markets on the African continent. What are the triggers behind that?
There is a demand for hospitality, and by that we look at MICE, that's meetings, incentives, conferences and events. We look at restaurants and so on and so forth. And you find out that there's quite a bit of demand. In fact, when we looked at global analysis, you would realize that aside from Nigeria, Egypt is really the only other country on the African continent attracting as much interest. So you find people like Best Western, Marriott looking to expand. And when you see what happened with the exchange rate that we started this discussion with, it's not everyone who traveled abroad last year that will be traveling this year. Right. So quite a number of people are going to be staying in country. And for all the security issues, quite a number of locations in Nigeria are still really good places to stay in. Again, let's remember shortlets. Shortlets have continued to power through since the very tip end of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so shortlets have even gotten more creative now. They've partnered with big name hotels. And then mid-market hotels also have been able to get family packages, and they understand the market, so they know how to price. And all those things have continued to ensure that hospitality does well. Again, Nigerians as a culture believe that when it is time to rest and have a good time as best as you can, you want to do that. And that's something that Ikeja City Mall has. When it gets towards the end of the year, you will realize that they start to create things that make it easier for children to come and have a good time. And then that brings in parents. Parents pay, And when I'm paid, I can pay my rent. When I pay my rent, the entire mall does well, and the real estate value as a whole goes up. So I think hospitality is poised to do well. In fact, to say it here before we round up, they were one of the first to recover from the pandemic. Hospitality, and then, of course, industrial, by that, logistics and warehousing.
Solid stuff. You guys, again, your report's in depth. It's great information there.
Thank you very
Good to
much.
have you coming on to explain this stuff for us. Ayo Ibaru, CEO, North Core Real Estate, to discuss the real estate sector. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.